Cathy Cress again, and I am back with my YouTube channel, Geriatric Care 1, and we are doing geriatric assessment. Actually, we're going to do writing a geriatric assessment. So, what is an assessment? A geriatric assessment is really starting with gathering information, and you are a detective. Let's make you a detective, because you are. You're gathering clues, just like Sherlock Holmes, or his wife, if you read Laurie King, Mary Russell. If you go to my web, you can see a picture of her. And so you're Mary Russell, and you are basically gathering information to figure out what is, you have a mystery going on. What are the needs of this older client? And what you have to do is find out the truth from everybody. And if anybody has watched, there's a famous Japanese film called Rashomon. And Rashomon is the story of a woodcutter who was killed and his wife who was raped. And they interview everybody that could possibly tell them what happened. And what they come to is everybody has a different version of truth. And what you have to do as a geriatric care manager is talk to all of these family members, etc., and gather what you think is truth. So you're a very powerful person in doing that. And that's exactly what a doctor does. And I'm going to talk about that too. So it's gathering information. The second thing is it's your first contact with a client. So you better be good. It's the first impression, and we all know what that's about. You have to be courteous. You have to be calm. You have to just go at the client's pace, and you have to sell yourself. Because the geriatric assessment is usually what you do the first thing with a client. You're assessing them. That's number 2. Number 3, it's the basis for all your solutions. Because remember, you have a mystery. What is the problem with this client? And then you're going to come with solutions to the problems. You're going to identify the problems that they're having and then come up with solutions. That's called a care plan. Problem, solution. So you have to find the solutions to fix these problems. First of all, you got to define the problems, which is you do all these assessments and then you figure out, what happened here? What's the matter? Are they not ambulating? Did they fall before and now they're going to have another fall? Are they mentally incompetent, etc., etc.? So you have to find out who does what they do and when they do. So when you're interviewing people, you have to ask, what's going on here? Because to fix the problems, you have to come up with solutions. And then you say, okay, who? A caregiver, your caregiver, does standby assistance, because if the person is, is not ambulating well, every single day that the client moves. It has to be defined. If you don't do that, nobody's actually going to do it. You have to say when, you have to say when, what they do and when they do it. So it's that. And number 3, it's a fee. A geriatric assessment is a way to get paid. Okay? It's very important. And everything starts with a geriatric assessment. You do a functional psychosocial. But what you're coming up with, your solutions, your care plan, is your diagnosis. And this is where we get to the doctor. You go to the doctor does a blood pressure, the doctor has you have all these blood tests, you might have to have a colonoscopy, you might have to have an MRI, etc., etc., etc. Then, that's like your assessments. He gathers or she gathers all the information and creates not a care plan, but a diagnosis. So that's what you do. But it has to be correct. And I'm going to tell you a story. I went to a doctor, nameless here, and that doctor was coughing. And the doctor, I went several times, and she said it was a she. It was this, it was that. 6 months later, I had to have one of my hips replaced. I go in, I have the x-ray, and they say, I had to have a lung x-ray just to have the hip replaced. And they call me back and say, you might have lung cancer. Oh my God. Well, I moved to another hospital and another doctor, a big one in this area. You can guess what it is. It's Stanford. And it turned out she had misdiagnosed me. I had walking pneumonia, and I had it for so long that another secondary infection was in there that was so big it was seen as a tumor. Now, that's a misdiagnosis. That story is only for you. Do not misdiagnose. And because you are like a doctor, she did the best she could. That's what she understood it to be. But I moved to another hospital. I could have sued her, but I wasn't going to do that. You know, you could do that. If I had died, somebody would have sued her. They'll sue you. So we will be back. And always go to my website, cathycress.com. I'm going to be doing a free webinar on geriatric assessment, 2 hours, and you can get credits from NACM to take it. Just go to my website, cathycress.com. See you next time.